What's up gamers, Cryptigo here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're taking a look at the only course that I haven't covered in the Star Cup, Sunshine Airport at 150cc. On April 29, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 2 minutes 1.381 seconds by the French player Mathieu, and a few years later, on November 25, 2020, the record was brought down to 1 minute 58.569 seconds by the Japanese player Kai. That's a 2.8 second improvement between records and a 2% faster time. Our former world record holder Mathieu has broken 61 world records across 20 unique runs and has spent 59 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Kai has broken almost 200 world records across 29 unique runs and has spent over 1,300 days holding at least one world record. At the moment, he's got 2 current world records keeping that streak alive for him. At pre-release, the world record wasn't too far off what it would become in the first month after release, in which Mathieu brought the record down well under 201. He would take it all the way down to 200.4 before fellow Frenchmen Kamek and Demon came along and shaved off those extra tenths on the way down to the first 159 ever recorded. Demon would face a few other competitors on his way down to 159.7, but shortly after that, Japanese player Ome Mona took the world record all the way down to 159.1, and included a world record that held for over 250 days. Alberto came in and barely beat Ome's time, and then Motion Glider was introduced for this track and thus began a battle between Kai and Alberto. 7 months into 2020, we finally saw the first 158 thanks to Alberto, and from there, him and Kai would go back and forth to bring the record down by a few more tenths. In total, the record was broken 81 times by only 11 different players. Now, both of these loadouts are certainly viable for a good run on this course, but one of them is much better equipped to go the fastest possible time. Mathieu goes with the combo of Morton driving the Blue Falcon kart with the Azure roller wheels and the Super Glider, while Kai goes with the super original pairing of Waluigi driving the Biddy Buggy, also with the Azure rollers and the Paper Glider. Now, we have some obvious differences here in terms of performance. Mathieu has the edge in top speed, leading by over a full point, while Kai leads by a similar margin in the handling stat. Now, those both can mean good things for the loadout, but the area in which Kai runs away with performance is in the acceleration and mini-turbo stats, where he also leads by well over a point in each. This track has a lot of short turns, and a mini-turbo that charges quicker definitely comes in handy, as it can give you a longer and sometimes more powerful boost. Unlike the last episode, this is a course that I actually respect. Sunshine Airport is another one of those tracks that maintains a healthy balance of being an enjoyable track and embodying the chaotic spirit of Mario Kart. The time trial strats are always interesting to follow as well. Mathieu starts off the race with a rocket start and grabs a quick mini turbo and jump boost around the first turn. When he lands, he does the same thing again before aligning himself to grab those first 2 coins near the end of this section. Kai also hits the rocket start out of the gate and grabs the same mini turbo jump boost chain after the first turn and again on the second one. The only difference is that he fits in an extra mini turbo before this zipper ramp. Now, that probably looked faster, and it was, but not by much. After grabbing an additional mini turbo, Kai leads Mathieu by just 5/100ths of a second going into S2. After hitting that jump boost, Mathieu gets into a tight turn around this platform, which results in a super mini turbo before dropping off and using his first mushroom to cut through this grass patch on the way to another super mini turbo. After that, it's one quick mini turbo before these zippers on the way to the glider ramp. Similar to the last section, Kai does the same thing that Mathieu does from that first ramp all the way through the shortcut. Once Kai comes out of the shortcut, he sneaks in another mini turbo before the final turn of this section, where his additional speed expanded his lead a little more than after the first section. His lead now sits at 0.3 of a second going into S3. After executing the fast glider and landing on the other side, Mathieu grabs a quick mini turbo before going for a super mini turbo around this floating platform on his way to the glider ramp. He'll hit a jump boost off of that and just ease on down to the runway before hitting 2 more mini turbos and a jump boost over this luggage carousel to close out the lap. Here's where things start to get a little different. After hitting the fast glider and grabbing a quick mini turbo, Kai begins charging up an ultra mini turbo all the way off of the glider ramp before using the motion glider technique to fly all over the place on his descent to the runway. Once he lands, he picks up those same 2 mini turbos and the carousel jump boost before crossing the finish line, where he leads Mathieu by 0.7 of a second. Now if we put these two racers side by side, we notice that this section on lap 2 is done pretty much the same way. They both hit those two jump boosts and mini turbos before getting back on that strict line up until the zipper ramp. At that point, Kai's lead has only extended slightly to just under 0.8 of a second at the end of S1. S2 is pretty much done the same way. About the only thing we can point out is how tight this mushroom cut is, as we can see here that Kai is slightly closer to the wall as he glides on through. After both racers exit, Mathieu will stick with his single jump boost while Kai goes for double before the glider ramp. The lead for Kai has finally gotten real as it sits at 1.1 seconds at the end of S2. After probably hitting the fast glider again, Mathieu sticks with the same mini turbo and super mini turbo before bearing left off the glider ramp for a more direct flight to the runway. When he lands, it's more of the same mini turbo chain and carousel jump boost before the finish line. Now pay close attention because you're about to see the real advantage of using motion glider. After hitting fast glider, Kai takes a risk and charges up a super mini turbo before starting a rather long drift for the ultra mini turbo off of the glider ramp. But look at where this man's kart is angled. Like for real, he could fall back onto that platform if Lakitu wasn't there to scoop him up. Kai has to do the most with this motion glider so that it will whip him back to a straight line while also keeping most of his boost from that mini turbo. After adjusting his kart in the most dramatic way possible, he glides on down for those same mini turbos and jump boost before hitting the finish line where his lead now sits at 1.7 seconds after outsplitting Mathieu's lap 2 by over a second. For most of the final lap, both racers do the same thing they did on lap 2. They both hit these mini turbos and jump boosts on their way to the zipper ramp. There's the jump boost from Kai onto this platform while Mathieu just drifts over it. After that turn, they both drop off and use their last mushroom to cut through the grass patch on their way to either 1 or 2 more mini turbos before hitting these other zippers on their way to a fast glider. When they land on the other side, they hit their respective mini turbo combos yet again before Mathieu just hits the jump boost off the glider ramp and Kai hits that over-exaggerated motion glider one last time before hitting the ever so delicate carousel jump before the finish line. After a pretty precise run filled with all sorts of interesting strats, Kai posted a time that was 2.8 seconds faster than Mathieu's former world record. So by grabbing more mini turbos, taking advantage of longer boosts, and hitting the most ridiculous motion glider in the game, Kai was able to beat out the rest of the world and put up a pretty fast time. I would have loved to hear what he had to say about that, but we couldn't make that happen. I will have an actual Q&A next episode though, so stay tuned. For now, let's take a look at the best known splits. The best known splits for this run show how optimized this run has become under the top 2 players. Alberto owns the best known laps 1 and 3, while Kai has the best known lap 2. The majority of the laps are pretty close to world record splits, and one of them has a sizable room for improvement. The best known lap 1 has about 7 frames that can be knocked off, while just under 5 frames can be knocked off of the final 2 laps. The best known sum time is only 187 milliseconds away, and we've got 2 players that make up that time, which means either of them could see their name next to the fastest time soon, or maybe someone else might step in. The worldwide top 10 consists of only 3 national and 2 continental record holders. Kai sits at the top just half a tenth of a second of Spanish record holder Alberto, and Japanese player Konkon rounds out the top 3. Kuroden sits in 4th place, while Army and Iru are just 2 100ths of a second apart for 5th and 6th place. 7th place belongs to Ome Mona, and the bottom 3 racers are all separated by half a tenth of a second and feature players such as Inami, Scary, and Koha. It's pretty clear that the legit competition for this world record is between Alberto and Kai. And considering Alberto has been on a tear lately, it's only a matter of time before he reclaims the world record here. Or maybe Kai will be the rare player that can fend him off. Who knows? That's all for episode 38. I hope you found it interesting. And I also hope that you'll tune in next week because I've got something pretty awesome planned that I'm sure you guys will love. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends and comment on which course you'd like me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.